Hello, friends. It is Thursday, January 31st, 2019, and I'm here with you offering my little golden nugget, a little teaching that hopefully will be small and easy to digest. I am coming on a little later than I had hoped. I had made the commitment last week. I don't know if you remember, I said every Thursday afternoon, I'm going to be here with you for just a little 5 minute or 10 minute or 11-minute snippet, a little golden nugget to offer you a little boost to your week and a check-in. Unfortunately, though I am dedicated to this 5 minute commitment that I've made, and I want to be consistent, and I want you to know that I'm going to be here every Thursday. Unfortunately, I'm super sick, and so I know you can't tell because I'm looking all glowy now. I'm super sick, and so I've been in bed all day and just try to muster the ability to sit up and to open my eyes and to put my hair in a little top knot so it's not all crazy and it doesn't scare you guys. And also, I'm in the Chicago area and we are existing in Arctic temperatures. So, hence my fake Carhartt fluffy sweatshirt. And I have not left my bedroom because it's the only warm place in the house. So, you're getting a different view than you normally get. You're not getting our beautiful painting that my parents did for us, and you're not getting any of my beautiful Peruvian tapestry and woven fabrics. You're getting my altar, which I think is beautiful and I engage with every day. This is what's going on with the altar right now. I love my altar space. So this is like my little sacred space, our little central hub, and it's got an underground aspect and an above ground aspect. And here are all of my intentions. Ooh, it's hard doing camera work. Here are my intentions up here that I've been working on with the Rebirth program through Lee Harris. So I've got those above, and this beautiful print that my partner made for me for our first wedding anniversary. So, and this is my desk. This is where I do all of my amazing work. The flashlight has nothing to do with the work I do, but it's there for some reason. All right, so here we are. We've already run half through our time with me just jibber jabbering. So now we know. Now we know how I go through so much time. The subject that we want to cover today is separation and connection. And one of the things I wanted to do, I made this Instagram post yesterday, I believe, last night. Oh, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it. Kind of. I have also posted it all over Facebook on my various pages and to, I think, a couple groups. The reason is that I have been struggling with this for some time, the nature of this post, and struggling with how to articulate my feelings about what I've been seeing happening on social media and in the collective hearts and minds of people that I really care about and I really respect. And so this is about divisiveness, and it's about disconnection and about how we fuel that and how we respond to it through the acts of violence and the acts of fear that have been happening in our collective. So that was something I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to read what I wrote to you guys because I think that the post itself, the image with this just little snippet, is powerful unto itself, but what I wrote underneath it is a little bit long, and my impression is not a lot of people are going to read it. I know that when I see something that long on Instagram or even Facebook, I'm like, I don't have time for that right now. I might come back to it. And I thought, well, you might click on this because it's a video and it takes less energy to engage in, and I'm promising to keep it kind of short. But maybe I could just read it to you guys. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. And I'll tell you my reading on that as well. But let's just get started with this, and then I'll also tell you the card that I picked, the mystery card, which relates to this. So the image itself, which again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, it has two people yelling at each other. They're actually the same person, or they're twins. One person looks really angry and one person looks really frightened. And underneath the words is a man in combat gear with a bomb. So it says, we stand as a people divided. No matter what you believe, if you see yourself in opposition to someone else, you're fueling division. It doesn't mean that you can't be hurt by or afraid of someone's choices. It simply means that no matter what you believe and how you feel, we are in this together. And remembering that is the first step towards peace. So that's just the surface level of what I've been feeling. And then I wrote about it more in depth. And I'm going to read it, this is not what I usually do in these videos. I don't like to read. I like to be having a conversation with you guys, but I think this is important enough to my heart that I do want to read it in this context. I know I'm going to try not to sneeze while I do that. Like many people in the world, my heart has been hurting from all of the violent choices people have been making and how that violence has increased our divisiveness. In my own country and city, I have been aware of the waves of pain rippling out from the recent quote unquote hate crimes. And I put that in quotations and I'll talk about why later. These quote unquote hate crimes against Jussie Smollett, Jasmine Barnes, Nathan Phillips. These are just a few of the people that have been in the news recently who have been hurt or killed or confronted in what is very much related to their race, their sexuality, their minority status. There's an understandable whiplash or a need for accountability, justice, and punishment. Not only have I been saddened and honestly scared at times for the people that I care about and myself, I still feel genuinely uncomfortable by our collective reaction of retaliation and this us versus them mentality. This divisive tribal warfare mentality is so understandably human, and yet it only perpetuates the fear perspective that fueled these acts of violence in the first place. We need a new method of response to address this age-old condition. What is clear to me on a fundamental level that every action we make is based on a thought form that we carry and a perspective or belief that we identify with. No person thinks that they are wrong about their thinking, and if we keep expressing our beliefs against the resistance of thoughts that are different than our own, we will perpetuate violence in our homes, our communities, and in our collective. All hate is actually a tragic expression of fear. It is fear. It is tragic because it separates us from others and ultimately from our own hearts. So a hate crime is really a fear crime, and that's why I put it in quotations, which always makes me wonder what thought form had these people so afraid. We are more than just our thoughts and beliefs, and we can always choose to be truly brave by trying to be open to the thoughts and beliefs of others, even if those beliefs scare us. It is okay to be scared, and it is also okay to pause your own story long enough to try to see another person's perspective. You will not lose yourself by simply listening. This is my hope, that we try to understand each other rather than react to an expression of fear with more fear, or as it appears, to an act of hate with more hate. We can do this. I believe in us. I believe we can evolve past our most basic instincts to survive and instead find a way to back each other and to get back to life. My own dyslexia makes it hard for me to read these things sometimes. So basically, we can evolve past our most basic instincts to survive and find our way back to each other and back to our own hearts. Because I think what happens is, and what I've been seeing is all these people that I admire, people in my personal life, people that have a lot of power and influence who I'm following on Instagram and these different venues, mostly Instagram. I'm just seeing this outrage, this hurt, and ultimately this fear, right? This fear of the kind of violence that can be inflicted on a fellow human being for something like their skin color, their religion, their sexuality, who they are. I'm so sorry. I turned all of my sounds off on my phone and my phone did not care. So, you know, there are many reasons that I can speak to this because I am a minority in several different ways. I have a child who is in the far minority. There are many ways in which I have felt fear in my life. And so I certainly understand fear for our safety. And some of these crimes recently have really struck a very close chord for me. So I'm not putting down anyone who has a fear response or a hate response or a divisive response to these actions. But it's been kind of shocking to see the amount of fight on the internet and fight in people's opinions. People hold their opinions so strongly. And this is part of I'm definitely going over 5 minutes. This is part of the reading I did, both with my counsel and with the card that I chose, which I have not yet revealed. the council was basically showing this idea of the pain that happens when we come from one, right? We come from one light and we separate and we separate and we separate, and we've individuated into all of these different sparks off the same great divine light. I love that Macklemore quote, whatever God you believe in, we all come from the same one. Whatever it is you believe in about the cosmos, right? We're all here together. We all were created from the same earth and the same sky, the same elements, the same light, the same energy. And yet we are very, very different. Just as we are part of nature, but we're also a little bit outside of nature at the same time. We are instinctual beings and we're spiritually evolving beings, and those things can be in opposition with each other. So our body's desire to survive is completely understandable. Tribal warfare is how we have operated as a social animal for a really long time, and we identify with the beliefs of our tribe. And so even if your tribe is the tribe of folks who believes in world peace and sustainability and equal rights for everyone, that doesn't mean that you're not still engaging or prone to engage in tribal warfare. And I think that the thing that's really dangerous for us as a community right now, and I know I'm speaking to you, my community, who I know probably hold a lot of the same beliefs as I do, and I appreciate that about you. But when we see someone who has done a really horrible act of violence towards another human being, harming them, hurting them with words, with their bodies, with weapons, killing them, our immediate reaction is to see them as different than us. And I think that that is ultimately problematic. I think it's ultimately unhelpful, because what would really be different than that would be different than our physical instincts and would be more in alignment with our spiritual consciousness evolution process, is to try to understand that they are humans that did these things, and to try to wonder, what thought forms they identified so strongly with that they felt justified in making those actions happen and doing that violence. So interestingly, the card that I chose was the Devil, which of all the cards in the deck, I know a lot of people have a reaction to. I know I do. Every time I pull this card, I'm like, oh, there's just so much charge to the word the devil. And I, before I even, kind of did a little intuitive and research-based look into this card again, the first sort of, this is my cold speaking, I'm not operating at full function, but the first connection that I made was with Eckhart Tolle's description of the devil, which is really just identification with form. And in this case, identification with thought form. So when we have a thought form or a belief or perspective that we were either given by our community, our tribe, our family, or we've come to that conclusion on our own through our own studies, our own life, our own experiences, when we have that thought form, we tend to connect that thought form with ourselves, with our sense of self, right? And then that thought form and us become combined. And that's where the danger really happens, because every human being on this planet is inclined to have a different series of thought forms that they identify with. And if we don't allow ourselves to become a little bit more loose with those thought forms, then not only can we not empathize with someone else's thought forms that may be very different than ours, but we fear that we lose ourselves in the very action of seeking to understand another, right? So let's take this down to a very basic level. For those of you who are married or in long-term relationships, when you have an argument with your partner, 99% of the time, it's because you are having feelings or an experience you feel like they are not seeing. And they are having feelings and experiences that you feel like that they feel you are not seeing. And you can have an entire argument about nothing, about the forks and how you put them in the drawer, about literally nothing, just based on I'm not being seen right now. And the other person saying, well, I'm not being seen right now. And so who's going to be the bigger person to stop and say, you know what, me being seen right now by you is not the most important thing. And if this whole conflict is about us not seeing each other, I'm going to put my story to the side for a second. I'm going to put my whole Forks need to be prong up, story to the side, and I'm going to listen to your perspective and your ideas and your thought forms, just so that we can break the cycle of insanity, right? Beyond that, because once that person feels heard and seen, there's like this huge relief, like, oh my God, I've been heard and seen. Now I might have space to hear and see you as well. And that can really be a great form of conflict resolution. That's nonviolent communication, and there's a lot of great work on that. I'd like to take it a step further and say that, one, we should be really careful about identifying ourselves, who we think we are, with our thought forms. We should try to be a little looser with that, because as we evolve, our thought forms are going to evolve too, and we need to leave space for that evolution. I also think that we are responsible ultimately for seeing ourselves and understanding ourselves, right? So if what we really desire is for someone else to say, oh my, I see you, I see the trauma you've experienced, I see where you came from, I see your limited access to people of color, I see these things that you've experienced, I see why you feel and why you think and why you're afraid in the ways that you are, right? And I see that. I understand you. And like the Buddha said, understanding is the first step to love. If you can understand someone, you can love them. Doesn't mean you agree with them. Doesn't mean that you forgive them for, I think forgiveness is a whole nother topic, but it just means you can feel love and connection towards that person, even if they've done something really harmful, because they are ultimately still a human being, and we are still all connected, right? Even as we've individuated as life forms. So just to go back to the evolutionary point for a moment, and I know we're going triple over what I promised, but to go back to that for a moment and just to think about your own relationship to being able to see and affirm and understand yourself. If we can do that in our relationships, in our communities, and in our lives, it leads to so much less conflict. If we can say to ourselves, wow, I see me. I see this person that I considered to be me in this lifetime. I see where I came from. I see the kind of parents I had. I see the sort of upbringing I had. I see the experiences I've had and how that shaped my perspectives. And I can honor that. And I can also be flexible with those perspectives. That's the point that I'm at. I want to be flexible with my perspectives. I want to be able to empathize and understand other people's perspectives. And once you do that, then your partner, your friend, your boss, whoever it is that may have very different opinions and thought forms in you, that becomes less aggressive and less scary. Then that's just, that's just truth. It is true. We all have really different perspectives. We've all had different lives and upbringings, and we come from different places. We identify as different things. So it's all good. The point of this whole conversation, coming back to the point, is connection and disconnection. Please, 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 as you are taking in whatever level of scary news you may be hearing, and as you're witnessing the divisiveness and the fight and the instinctual tribal warfare that comes into, like, we're wrong, this person's right, and you're seeing people that you respect throw out slurs about other people being this, that, or the other. Just know that this is a naturally instinctive human reaction, and we can evolve beyond it. And it would be helpful and progressive and the only way forward, really, I think, if we did move beyond it. So that's my nugget for today. Sorry, 18 minutes and 45 seconds. I hope that was watchable and enjoyable and gave you a little something to think about. And again, always, 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 I send you my love and my appreciation for who you are and what you bring to this planet at this time. Thank you.